Good morning, my name is Phil Cowdell and we're here at the Beet Executive Retreat, and it is my absolute pleasure to have with me this morning Olga Ramos from Boys and Girls Club of Puerto Rico. So we're going to have a chance to talk about Puerto Rico, talk about Boys and Girls Club, and talk about what makes a difference in the lives of young people. So with that, Olga, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, it's great to be here.
But before we jump into Boys and Girls Club, I'd like to know a little bit about your background and what led you to here, helping so many children and doing such wonderful work for the community.
Sure. First of all, I come from a family of teachers. So for me, there were two things at home that were non-negotiable: love and education. Yeah. How do I get to the Boys and Girls Club? I had the privilege to be on the board of directors for 8 years. And then last year, I made the decision to change my career, a very good career in retail. And I made the decision to come over to the NGO world and lead the Boys and Girls Club in Puerto Rico. What I did was great on the business sector, but then I think that as a Puerto Rican myself, I had to make sure that I leave a legacy and that I work to make a difference where I live. So
we all have a bigger responsibility.
We do.
And it's so easy to get caught up in the commercial side and forget the community and the responsibility. So, well, first of all, thank you on behalf of all the delegates here at the conference and from me personally for the efforts you've made. Now, many of the folks here are familiar with Boys and Girls Club from the mainland. Can you just talk a little about what you do on the island and what the main programs are? Sure.
In Puerto Rico, we have 13 clubhouses. We are affiliated with the Boys and Girls Club of America, so we're part of the movement in the mainland. In Puerto Rico, we have a chance to cater or to adjust our programming to the needs on the island. So even though we leverage a lot from the mainland organization, we're able to change our things and be able to serve our communities better. So we've been doing services in Puerto Rico for 50 years now. We're just celebrating our anniversary this
Congratulations.
year. Thank you. And so we do educational services pretty much after school.
And that's what probably most people in the mainland will be familiar with, the sort of after-school program, the educational services.
We do after school, and then we have different pillars. We have the education pillar, we have the health pillar, recreation, and sports and arts. We believe that the kids need to develop holistically as an individual. Other than that, 4 years we sat down and evaluate what we were doing. If you put that in the context of what goes on in Puerto Rico, where we have an economic crisis for 10 or 11 years now, we decided that we needed to do things differently in order to prepare our kids and youth to be ready for what the future has in store for them. So we are changing our programming in order for us to cover more bases and make sure that we prepare our kids to insert themselves into the workforce development. So we took one of our projects, one of our clubhouses in Olga Ramos in Puerto Rico, and we changed all.
And by the way, for those of you who've ever been there, that actual site is a pretty tough neighborhood.
It is.
So it's probably one of the toughest neighborhoods on the island, the most desperate for help.
So that's why we took that one. We decided that we wanted to change the systemic conditions in which our kids live in. So we changed all of our programming. That club specifically sits down on a tourism-related area. It's close to the tourist area if you cross the bridge. So we transform everything we do there to work around tourism and then the economic development. So we take kids from 6 to 18. And from 6 years, they start learning about the tourism culture in Puerto Rico, why it's important, why can I insert myself in this industry. And we take them through their teen years. When they're teens, we work with them on entrepreneurship. We start putting that seed in their minds that there are things that you can think through, there are things that you can come up with. You can have your own business, or you can work for another business.
One thing that you talked about in your strategic plan is this sort of dual relationship between parent and child. Can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, in Puerto Rico, we have, as I mentioned before, 13 clubhouses, and from those, 7 sit on public housing complexes. So we have decided that we needed to change the generation, and to change the system, we have to go and work a 2-generation approach, which includes parents and kids.
So with the generations, what do you do as the programs for the parents? What are you doing for the kids? You talked about a new program you're doing as a residential program. Can you describe the residential program for me?
Absolutely. We took one of our clubs and changed all of the programming to include our kids, our youth, and then the parents or guardians.
So kids, youth, and parent slash guardian.
Yeah.
And that parent slash guardian's an issue, isn't it? because it's about home stability.
It is.
Yeah.
It is about home stability and changing the conditions for the kids.
Yep.
Because the kids do not choose to live poor or to be born poor. They're born into a poor life, which is a big difference. So we're taking care of the parents. We open a center that is geared toward tourism, and there we train our parents, our guardians, in terms of from soft skills, how to do an interview, how to dress properly, how to do customer service, or to how to insert in the service industry related to tourism. Because
this is one thing I think for those of you who know Boys and Girls Club in the US, where we focus on the child, to actually be focusing on the parent. You made a comment before that in Puerto Rico you're entrepreneurial and you solve problems based on the need. I think that's a great example and a real good insight there of you can't just help the child, you have to help the parent as well. So getting them trained, developed and into jobs is a wonderful program. In terms of the children you help in the teen level and helping them with their education, you've had some interesting sort of opportunities that have opened up. There's a certain lady that went to to NASA. Can you share a little about that?
We do have one of our ex-participants in NASA as we speak,
wow,
doing an internship.
That's incredible.
I remember as a board member, I had the opportunity to mentor her when she was getting ready to get out of high school. We had to involve her mother because it was a single mother trying to leave her only girl, go out and study. And she wanted to take her to a closer college because she didn't want to lose her. And then we wanted her to go to the university where we knew she had the potential to be excellent. So
because her grades?
4.0 high school, 4.0 in the University of Mayagüez in engineering, chemical engineering.
Wow.
So we took her to Mayagüez. I mean, almost on top of her mother, but we were able to put her there. We helped her with housing, with money, with that guardianship that we knew that we had to provide because her mother was her main concern. And every summer she was able to get an internship elsewhere. So she's been from Harvard to Georgetown to Ohio State University. And recently we received a text from her saying that I've been accepted to NASA to an internship. And she sent it like it was the most normal thing in the world.
It's incredible. Because honestly, post-Maria, the issues before Maria, the level of poverty in Puerto Rico, and sort of people see pictures on the news and they think, poor environment, the barrios, people in the campos up in the hills, what's really happening? But then you see, like, everyone has human potential. And so what you do, and maybe this is the fact that's sort of coming from your background of teachers, is like, how do you bring out human potential? I think that's a wonderful example of it. But the return on human potential, talk about the return on this human potential.
I think the return, if you see it from a business perspective, when you have an investment that returns 3 to 1, you invest $1, and from every dollar you invest, $3 come back to the local economy. For me, that's a no-brainer. I mean, in business, you don't find investments that give you 1 to 3
I'll take a 3 to 1 return in the current economy anytime. But that human capital, I think sometimes it sort of gets overlooked or doesn't get appreciated. So bringing that out and giving those people the potential is a wonderful thing. You have one program called the Maker Program. Training on entrepreneurial spirit. Can you talk a little about what you do with the Maker program? Yeah,
the Project Makers program, it takes the kids from 6 to 18, and then from when they're very little, we do our curriculum based on why is the industry important, why is economic development important, and then we take you through the years where you can learn how to do your own business idea, how to develop that.
So these kids are actually pitching business plans to investors?
They are.
You get them lined up like 14-year-olds out there making presentations?
They do have pitch days, and we bring investors so they can see what they're doing. I've been in some of those pitch days, and when I hear the questions coming from the business side myself, there were times that I thought that they would not be able to answer, like from market analysis, landscape, competition. And when I hear 14, 15 years answering the questions that I will make a supplier myself, I was like, okay, this is working. So they get to pitch their idea, they get to find investors, they get to open their business, and then we kind of follow them through that process, so they're not alone.
So we got Silicon Valley, Silicon Beach, we should have Silicon Island.
We should.
All these young, smart people here working out what is opportunity and how they can make a difference. So the dark days of the economy and the darker days when the storm hits, what do you think it looks like now? What's your view of the future and the resilience of the people of the island?
I think there's hope. I mean, Puerto Ricans are resilient. The people in our communities that live under such bad conditions, they are resilient. So I see that there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of potential. Going back to your point of the human potential, there's a lot. There's just a need for people to look at that potential and make sure that we take it to the next level.
Potential is always there. We've just got to bring it out. We need people like you, your organization, and the support that you get from your investors and corporate sponsors to help more of those children and give them the potential. But I love the way that there's this positive view to take human capital and make it into something that's meaningful for the child, but the parent, and also for the community. So it's a wonderful contribution. The Boys and Girls Club Puerto Rico are doing a fabulous job and inspiring not only the people on the island, but the people across the mainland around the world. So for that, Olga, for everything you and your team are doing and what you do every day, thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.